You walk into a coffee shop with your artistic friend, and suddenly you're using your hands more when you talk, leaning back, commenting on the vibe of the space. 2 hours later, you're at dinner with your corporate coworker. Now you're sitting straighter. Your voice has dropped half an octave. You're nodding at different intervals, mirroring their energy exactly. And here is the disturbing part. You didn't decide to do any of this. It just happened. Automatic, unconscious. By the time you get home, you're standing in front of the mirror asking a question that makes your chest tighten. Who am I when no one is watching? If you've ever felt like you don't have a solid personality, like you're just a collection of borrowed traits, this is for you. Because what you're experiencing has a name, and understanding it might be the first step toward finding yourself again. Let's start with what this actually is. In psychology, it's called mirroring, and everyone does it to some degree. It's how humans build rapport. When you meet someone new, you unconsciously match their body language, their speaking pace, even their breathing patterns. It's neurological. It's how we signal safety and connection. But for you, it's not subtle. It's extreme. You don't just mirror body language. You mirror opinions, speech patterns, energy levels, even moral frameworks. You walk away from conversations and think, why did I say I agreed with that? I don't even believe that. But in the moment, it felt true, because you absorbed their truth and made it yours. You become a different person depending on who you're with. And the shift happens so fast, you don't even notice until you're alone again, wondering why you agreed to something you don't actually believe in. So here's the question that determines everything. Is this empathy, or is this a trauma response? Because here's what most people won't tell you. Mirroring at this level is almost always rooted in the Fawn response. The Fawn response is one of the 4 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It's when you survive danger, not by running or fighting, but by becoming whatever the other person needs you to be. You learned early, maybe from a volatile parent, maybe from social rejection, maybe from an environment where being yourself was punished, that the safest version of you is the one other people approve of. So your nervous system created a solution. It developed a radar system, constantly scanning for threats, constantly adjusting to keep you safe. And you got good at it, really good. You can walk into a room and within 30 seconds, you know exactly who you need to be to fit in. And for a while, this works. People like you. You're adaptable, easy to be around. You never cause conflict. You become the person everyone wants at their dinner party. The friend who gets everyone. The coworker who's easy to work with. But here's what nobody sees. You're exhausted. Because mirroring isn't passive. It's active labor. Every social interaction is a performance, and you're the actor, director, and audience all at once. Let me show you what this looks like in your nervous system. Imagine your energy as a battery. A normal conversation with a friend might drain 5%. But for you, that same conversation drains 30%. Because you're not just talking, you're monitoring. You're scanning their face for micro-expressions. You're adjusting your tone in real time. You're suppressing your actual opinions to say what keeps the peace. There's a part of your brain constantly asking, are they annoyed? Did I say something wrong? Should I laugh more? Should I be quieter? And this isn't happening once in a while. This is happening in every conversation, every single one. By the end of the day, you're not tired from what you did. You're tired from who you had to be. And here's the cruelest part. You don't even know what relaxing feels like anymore. Because when you're finally alone, the question comes back. Who am I supposed to be right now? There's no script for solitude. No one to read, no cues to follow. And that emptiness, it terrifies you. You spent so long being a mirror that you've forgotten what your own face looks like. So you fill the silence with noise. You scroll, you binge shows, you text people you don't even want to talk to. Anything to avoid sitting with the person you don't know how to be. But here's what changes everything. What if I told you that you're not broken? What if this isn't a flaw? It's an adaptation, a highly sophisticated one. You're not fake, you're a social hacker. You've developed an advanced pattern recognition system that most people don't have. Think about it. While other people are fumbling through conversations, missing social cues, accidentally offending people, you're reading the room like it's written in your first language. You can walk into any room, and within minutes, you understand the power dynamics, the unspoken rules, the emotional undercurrents. You know who's actually in charge, even if they're not the loudest. You know who's hurting, even if they're smiling. You know when to speak and when to stay quiet. That's not weakness. That's a survival skill that kept you safe. And in many contexts, it's still useful. The problem isn't the skill itself. The problem is that it's running 24 hours a day, even when you're safe. It's like a smoke alarm that never stops beeping, even when there's no fire. Your system learned to protect you in an environment where you genuinely weren't safe. But now you're in a different environment, and the alarm is still going off. So the work isn't to stop mirroring entirely. The work is to make it a choice instead of a reflex, to create space between stimulus and response, to give yourself the option to say, I see what you need from me, but I'm going to choose what I give. Here's how you start. You need to find what I call your base layer, the version of you that exists when no one is watching. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to feel uncomfortable, maybe even terrifying, because for the first time in maybe your entire life, you're going to stop performing. And when you do, you'll feel like you're disappearing. Start with this exercise. Spend 10 minutes a day in complete solitude. No phone, no music, no podcasts, no input. Just you and the discomfort of not performing for anyone. Set a timer, sit somewhere quiet, and do absolutely nothing. At first, your mind will race. You'll think about everything you need to do. You'll want to check your phone. You'll feel anxious, maybe even panicked. That's normal. You've been a mirror for so long that stillness feels like death. But if you stay with it, something will emerge. A preference, an opinion, a tiny voice that says, actually, I don't like this, or I want that. It might be small. I actually prefer tea over coffee. I don't like this genre of music. I'm tired. Write it down. Every single one. That's your base layer starting to form. Second step. Practice saying no to low-stakes things. Not to test people, to test yourself. Do you want to get coffee? If you don't, say no. Can I borrow this? If you'd rather not, say no. Start with things that don't matter. The goal isn't to become difficult. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can disagree without disaster. Watch what happens. Most of the time, nothing bad happens. The person just says, okay, and moves on. And that's the revelation. The catastrophe you've been avoiding your entire life, it doesn't come. You've been bending yourself into shapes to avoid consequences that were never coming. Third step, find your anchor opinions. These are the beliefs you hold even when no one is around to agree with you. They don't have to be revolutionary. I think kindness matters. I value honesty. I believe people deserve second chances. Write these down somewhere you can see them. When you feel yourself shape-shifting, come back to these. They're your gravity. Over time, you'll build a sense of self that isn't dependent on external validation. It won't be loud. It won't be flashy. But it will be yours.
And here's what's strange. As you become more solid in yourself, you'll actually become better at connecting with others. Because real connection doesn't happen when you're a mirror. It happens when you're a person. When you show up as yourself, messy, imperfect, with actual boundaries and preferences, you give other people permission to do the same. And that's when you'll stop being a chameleon and start being a person who simply chooses, sometimes, to adapt. The difference between a chameleon and a healthy person isn't that one adapts and the other doesn't. We all adapt. We all code switch. We all adjust our behavior based on context. The difference is this. The healthy person has a home base to return to. You're building that now. One no at a time. One preference at a time. One moment of solitude at a time. It won't happen overnight. And some days, you'll slip back into old patterns. You'll leave a conversation and realize you did it again. You became what they needed instead of who you are. That's okay. Notice it, write it down, and try again tomorrow. Because you're not trying to become someone new. You're trying to remember who you've always been underneath all those masks. And that person? They're worth knowing.